gate of the Chukwemeka Odumegwu University Teaching Hospital, Amako, Oka in Anambra State. Eyewitness said the cops caused a panic in the community while residents and passers-by avoided the scene for fear of reprisal from rival cult gangs. Police Public Relations Officer DSP Kinga Tochukwu, who confirmed the development and stated that the corpse has been removed and deposited at a morgue. Members of the Lagos State House of Assembly have kicked against the commissioner nominees list transmitted to the House by the Lagos State Governor, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu. The lawmakers said the list did not reflect their expectations and those of their constituencies. The clerk of the Assembly, Mr. Olalekan Onafeko, who read the letter of the governor accompanying the list of nominees, read out the names of the 39 nominees as sent by the governor to the House. While reacting to the governor's letter, the lawmakers lamented the exclusion of some local governments and a constituency from the list. While urging the governor to take another look at the list, however, the Speaker of the House, Mudashiru Obasa, implored his colleagues to see reasons with the governor over his choice of individuals in the list. The West African Examination Council has presented a certified true copy of Governor Dakpo Abiodun's results at the Ogun State Election Petition Tribunal. This is coming after an official of the examination body from Lagos, Olufemi Olaleye, appeared before the tribunal sitting in Isabo, Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital, on a subpoena. Olaleye, who was supposed to bring a copy of Abiodun's certificate as requested by the court, said he was not with the certificate because the council does not keep duplicates of collected WAEC certificates. He also said the original certificates given to the candidate will be forwarded to WAEC for verification, while another official of the examination council from the Abeokuta office, Fasasi Adetunji Sarafa, appeared at the tribunal to tender what he called a certified true copy of Abiodun's WAEC results. Fasasi said he was at the tribunal to represent WAEC based on a subpoena issued at the council's Lagos headquarters. The Zamfara State Governor Dauda Lawal has received medical equipment and hospital-related items of over 100 million naira. The donation was presented to the governor at the State Council chamber in Gusau by the Managing Director of Mingeria Health Services Limited, Alhaji Mustafa Falaki, adding that the equipment and hospital-related items were donated to the state government to improve healthcare services. In a statement by the spokesperson to the governor, Suleiman Bala Idris, stressed that the medical equipment donated were very essential in line with the Lawal administration's commitment to overhaul the health system in the state. He also said the firm visited Zamfara from Kano State to present the equipment to the governor as a gesture to support his positive mission to revive the health sector. The Zamfara State House of Assembly has screened and confirmed the 18 commissioner nominees sent by Governor Dauda Lawal. A statement by the Public Relations Officer, Malam Nasiru Biki, said the Assembly received a list of 18 nominees by the Governor for confirmation, adding that the nominees were screened and confirmed at the Assembly's plenary in Gusau. Mazawaje appealed to his colleagues to agree and set aside the House Order Rule 6, subsection 6 of its standing orders to admit the nominees into the chamber for the screening. The lawmakers unanimously confirmed the 18 nominees to serve as commissioners and members of the state's executive council after the screening. Katsina State government says it has paid over 300 million naira as compensation to 421 persons for the expansion of Umar Musa Yar'Adua International Airport in Katsina State. The State House Head of Service, Usman Isiaku, who disclosed this shortly after receiving officials of the Federal Ministry of Aviation who were in the state to inspect the kick-off of 4 projects at the airport, said the state government has already handed over the land acquired for the construction of the fire truck maintenance center, cargo terminal, and a modern terminal. Appreciating the state governor, Malam Diko Umar Rada, for his commitment to ensuring the actualization of the project, he said the projects would provide job opportunities for the team and youth in the state. On his part, the Director of Air Drone Development, Engineer Clement Olayinka, who led the Federal Ministry of Aviation team, expressed gratitude to the state governor for making available the land, while thanking Governor Rada's passion and commitment to providing the land within the shortest time. He affirmed that all the contractors have been mobilized to the site to join the inspection team ahead of the commencement of the project. The Taraba State House of Assembly has approved the request of Governor Abu Kefas to access a loan facility of over 206 billion naira from 4 Nigerian commercial banks. In a letter sent to the House and read by the Speaker, Honorable John Kizito Bonzina, explained that the loan is to enable the state governor to embark on developmental activities for the state. He also said one of the cardinal points of his administration is to entrench good governance and improve the livelihood of the people while providing massive infrastructural development across the state, as well as payment of outstanding gratuities to the retirees. Meanwhile, the House has approved 5 billion naira from the approved loan to be set aside to settle gratuity and enroll more local government retirees into the state pension payroll. Suspected gunmen have killed 2 police officers' sons and injured his wife in Malamadori local government area of Jigawa State. Eyewitness said the gunmen, numbering about 20, invaded the area with dangerous weapons and robbed the residents. Police spokesman of the Jigawa State Command, DSP Lawan Shisu Adam, who confirmed the incident, said the corpses and victim were taken to Hadejia General Hospital and are confirmed dead by medical doctor. Police spokesman said effort to trace the culprit is on top gear. Ohaneze Socio-Cultural Organization has cautioned judges against injustice in the nation's democratic leadership. This is coming following the expectation of Nigerians at the Presidential Election Position Tribunal to make its ruling. Ohaneze warned that Nigerians might witness the Niger Republic military coup situation if the judges issue an erroneous judgment. The body warned the judiciary to the independence in their verdict of the 2023 general elections in Nigeria, which is marred by allegations of irregularities and non-compliance with electoral laws. Factional Secretary General of the group, Okechukwu Isiguzoro, said the lack of adherence to the electronic transfer of election results from polling units to the Independent National Electoral Commission central server. The leader of INRI Evangelical Spiritual Church, Primate Elijah Ayodele, has advised the newly elected national chairman of the All Progressive Congress, Abdullahi Ganduje, about his tenure. Primate Ayodele said Ganduje would start on a good note but end on a terrible note because he is not the right person for the party's success. A statement by his media aide, Oluwatosin Osho Ayodele, explained that the party would suffer from bad policies under the administration of Abdullahi Ganduje, adding that the party will face several legal questions and that corruption will multiply exponentially in the new administration. The prophet also said there would be more riggings in the party's subsequent elections as the new administration would be reckless, adding that wrong candidates would be made flag bearers under the new administration. The prophet further revealed that members would start calling for Ganduje's resignation before time when they gang up against him before his tenure ends. New service rules may forcefully push out 512 directors in the civil service who have spent 8 years in the directorate's cadre. The service is equal to the implementation of the newly revised Public Service Rules 2021 by the federal government. The new rules also introduce a tenure policy for permanent secretaries who are now required to spend 4 years in office, which is renewable subject to performance. Head of Service of the Federation, Folashade Yemi San, while unveiling the revised public service rules during the civil service rule, noted that the implementation would commence immediately. Yemi San also said the rules were revised under the administration of former President Muhammadu Buhari, while the policy is generating tension and agitation in the civil service as some directors has been sent to ministries, departments and agencies to ensure compliance with the newly revised rules. The federal government says it has directed the chief medical directors and medical directors in the federal tertiary hospitals to implement the no work, no pay policy on the striking members of the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors. The federal government also directed the hospitals to maintain an attendance register for all resident doctors willing to work, while the strike followed the expiration of a 2-week ultimatum to the government to meet its demands. The doctors are demanding implementation of the one-for-one replacement policy for healthcare workers. The Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria to discontinue the downgrading of the membership certificate issued by the West African Postgraduate Medical and Surgical Colleges. It also includes the immediate payment of all salary arrears, the implementation of the consolidated medical salary structure, a new hazard allowance, and the domestication of the Medical Residency Training Act, among others. Nigeria Labour Congress says it will embark on a nationwide strike from August 14 if the leaders were summoned for contempt of court orders. This is coming after meeting with President Bola Tinubu had an agreement with the union to call off their protests between the organized labour and the federal government. The Nigerian Labour Congress hinged its decision on the contempt of court application filed by the Ministry of Justice against the labour leaders and threatened to down tools should the federal government fail to withdraw the lawsuit accusing the labour leadership of disobeying court orders. The NLC President Joe Ajaero, who disclosed the decision in Abuja, also alleged that in a bid to avert a strike by the labour movement last month, the federal government had, through the Federal Ministry of Justice, secured an order for the National Industrial Court restraining the NLC and the Trade Union Congress from embarking on any strike action over issues bordering on removal of fuel subsidy, hiking prices of petrol, and consequential increase in cost of living pending the determination of the suit. The Solicitor General of the Federation and Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Justice, Mrs. Beatrice Jadi Agba, in a statement urged the NLC to withdraw the 7-day notice it issued on its plan to commence a nationwide industrial action from August 2nd if the demands of labor unions were not met. The Nigerian Labour Congress has threatened to commence a nationwide strike on August 14. Well, in reaction to the Nigerian Labour Congress threats to go on the strike on the 14th of August, a public affairs analyst and legal practitioner on Atlantic Blowout Public Affairs, Chris Oparolu, faulted the NLC's plan to go on strike over a contempt charge by the federal government when organized labor has the option of out-of-court settlements.
I'm in talks with the president. If negotiations are going on rather. You know, in practice, the court always gives room for settlement out of court. If a matter is in court between 2 or 3 persons or organizations as litigants, they can come to court and say, we are trying to settle, right? Mm-hmm. Please give us that leave to settle out of court. So if the both parties are talking, it's more like settlement, are trying to achieve settlements aside court, which is very legal. There are no issues with it, you know. But then the point must also be made that no group of persons or person is above the law. You cannot say if you are given an invitation, if you are summoned to court, you will go on strike. That is rubbish, to say the least. Court is where disputes are resolved amicably, right? You can quarrel with the Federal Ministry of Justice. You know, Federal Ministry of Justice is not the law court. An order of court must be obeyed until the proper thing is done. There are ways you can vacate orders of court if you think that they were reached per incurium, that is reached in error, or if you think the judge or the court was misled. There are judicial channels, there are things you can do, you know. So it's okay to say, look, we are settling, which is evident in the meeting we have had with the president and the presidency, right? To that extent, we think that let us settle. We can resolve out of court, legal. It's valid. We do it in practice. There's nothing. In fact, the law encourages out of court settlement, right? So you wouldn't waste the time of the court.
He also said the move by the Labour was anti-democratic to propose another strike because of a contempt charge.
Is the fact that it is tyrannical, it's anti-democracy to say if you are served a court summon, just because you are served a court summon, you want to now let heavens loose. It's not ideal. Nobody should be afraid, organization should be afraid, you know, when invited, because when you are in court, the court will have to listen to both parties. It's in court that they talk about, especially that rule, that sacrosanct of fair hearing. So there is no threat. I don't see any reason why the Labour or there is something they want to say that they have not said. It is not an issue of when there is a court summon. If the court summons you, let us see the double standard of the federal government, of the executive arm, which the federal ministry is part of the executive arm. So if you are coming to tell Nigerians that in this negotiation that the presidency or the president, the executive arm, hasn't shown sincerity, because while we were talking with some actors in the executive arm of government, the other actors, I don't have a problem with that. But don't say that when you get a court summon, when there is a summon from the court for you to attend. That is why we have a democracy. Nobody is above the law. Even the president, where you can sue him as you know, a representative of the people. The president is in court for the election tribunals. He's in court. So how can Labour say by the mere fact that they are being summoned to court, they would let her loose? You can say, look, we are negotiating. So because we are negotiating, let us go and ask the court to grant us leave to settle out of court. Fair demand. Very fair demand. But at no point in time in this country should it be heard that any group of persons, be it resident medical doctors, be it any organization, even the MP, that they were summoned to court, and because they were summoned to court, they will shut down everywhere. It's anti-democracy.
A senior advocate of Nigeria, Ebun Olu Adegboruwa, says the court order and suit filed by the federal government against the Nigerian Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress cannot stop hunger and sufferings of Nigerians. This is coming after the organized labor kicked off its protest against the anti-people policies of the President Bola Tinubu administration in the major parts of the country, adding that the federal government filed a contempt case against the NLC and TUC for allegedly resisting an order restricting the unions from embarking on industrial action. According to organized labor, all workers in the private and public sectors across the country will appear at court proceedings in a contempt case preferred against its organized labor by the federal government, while the senior advocate Nigeria stated that from the explanations given by labor, the protest was held in the exercise of their fundamental right under Section 39 of the Constitution, and it shouldn't be mistaken as a strike. The human rights activist noted that some of them in labor and civil society organizations were not part of the case. Adegboruwa, while commending President Tinubu for his listening ears and engagement with organized labor to douse the tension, said the reconciliation should go beyond engagement and returns. Over 1,205,888 candidates have registered for the ongoing 2023 Senior Certificate Examination conducted by the National Examination Council. The Registrar and Chief Executive of NECO, Professor Dantani Ibrahim Wushishi, who disclosed this in Jos Plateau State while monitoring the conduct of the examination in some schools, said, out of these figures, 601,074 candidates are male, while 584,814 are female. A statement by Aziz Sani, Head Information and Public Relations, the NECO for the NECO Registrar, expressed satisfaction with the general conduct of the 2023 SSCE based on reports obtained from across the country, adding that the 2023 SSCE, which would be conducted next week, is the best organized in recent years. The registrar also said various measures have been put in place to check examination malpractice, while the measures have started yielding positive results. The National Examinations Council says some states are indebted to the Council for Senior School Certificate Examination, which stands at over 3 billion naira at the end of 2022. NECO also urged affected states to clear up the debts to enhance the operations of the Council. The Registrar of the Council, Professor Dantani Ibrahim Wushishi, who disclosed this shortly after the inspection of the ongoing NECO examination in Jos Plateau State, urged the Council to come up with an adequate debt profile at the end of the ongoing exercise when the deadline for payment expires. He said it is true some states are indebted to NECO, but to be fair to some of these states, they are responding positively. It is at the end of this exercise when they have chosen to pay that we will be able to assert the level of indebtedness. The NECO registrar adjudged the ongoing examination to be one of the best in recent times, adding that since the examination started, the Council has not recorded a major hitch. You're watching the Global News on Atlantic Television Network. We'll be back after this break. Good to have you back on the Global News and Atlantic Television Network. Now to the rest of our stories. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has written to the Senate of a proposed military operation by the Economic Community of West African States against the military government in Niger Republic. According to the letter to the Senate, President Godswill Akpabio, entitled Political Situation in Niger, informed the Senate of the far-reaching resolutions of leaders of the West African sub-region, particularly the involvement of Nigeria, which include military build-up and deployment of personnel for military intervention to enforce compliance of the military junta in Niger. He also said ECOWAS leadership condemned the coup in its entirety and resolved to seek the return of a democratically elected government in a bid to restore peace. The ECOWAS convened a meeting and came out with a communique.
To enforce compliance by the military junta in Niger should they remain recalcitrant. Freezing assets of state enterprises and parastatals in commercial banks. In light of the foregoing, I wish to respectfully solicit the support of the National Assembly in the successful implementation of the ECOWAS resolution, as outlined in the attached communique. He has not declared war. He's only informing us and it's our business to do the needful by having a robust debate on this and then advising thereafter. And therefore, this correspondence is referred to the next legislative date for proper debate by this chamber.
The resolution is coming after the General Abdurrahmane Tichani, the head of Niger's presidential guard, had last week declared himself head of state after the military seized power and deposed the elected President Mohamed Bazoum. The ECOWAS, in its resolution, gave the new military leader in Niger 1 week ultimatum to restore constitutional order. As the ministerial screening continues, President Bola Tinubu has withdrawn the nomination of Dr. Mariam Shetty as a ministerial nominee from Kano State. Tinubu's directive was contained in a letter read by the Senate President Godswill Akpabio on Friday's plenary. According to the letter, Mariga Mahmood is to replace Dr. Mariam Shetty as the ministerial nominee, while the President also announced Festus Keyamo, senior advocate of Nigeria, as an additional ministerial nominee. National Assembly correspondent Rotimi Adewuye reports.
The new additional nomination of Festus Keyamo and replacement of Dr. Mariam Shetty has now taken the total number of ministerial nominees to 48.
I resolved to withdraw the nomination of Dr. Mariam Shetty. Furthermore, I am pleased to nominate Dr. Mariga Mahmood Bonguru and Mr. Festus Keyamo San for consideration and, if deemed fit, confirmed by the Senate as ministers. Whilst hoping the above requests will receive the kind consideration and approval of the Senate.
Among those on the list to appear before the Senate on Friday are 5 governors, 3 former federal lawmakers, 2 women, and a host of others. The former governor of Plateau State, Simon Lalong, former governor of Yobe State, Ibrahim Gaidam, the former governor of Zamfara State, Bello Metawale, the former governor of Kebbi State, Atiku Bagudu, and the former governor of Osun State, Adegboyega Oyetola, were among those who were screened. Governor Boyega Oyetola kickstarted the screening section on Friday, after which former governor of Yobe State, Ibrahim Gaidam, was screened. Earlier, before the commencement of the screening process, the Senate leader, Senator Okoyemi Bambili, explained reasons behind some former lawmakers and governors who were asked or normally asked to take a bow after presenting their resume.
So it's important that members of public will draw a line of demarcation between what happens when nominees appear before us and what happens when we sit down to finally and actually consider the details of their eligibility. So as to stage 1, people appearing before us, it is the considered opinion of this Senate, which is also consistent with global best parliamentary practices and procedure. The members of parliament who had served in parliament are asked to take a bow. And what is the reason for this? Number 1, it is because they are well and favorably known to the parliament by their antecedents. It's because they had stood for election in the past and they had shown that they were constitutionally eligible to contest this election. It's also because on the Hansard of the parliament and the record of the parliament, their antecedents are well established and documented. So we take legislative notice of this because it will be a sheer waste of time for us to begin to ask them questions that we already know about, we already know about them, and antecedents that are already well established on the record of the parliament. That is the essence of that. Now, when it comes to stage 2, the fact that we have asked a former parliamentarian to take a bow does not mean we will not subject the same CV and application to the same standard of test and assessment to which we are also subjecting those of the other nominees. So even if we have asked a former parliamentarian to take a bow, if we have any reason not to confirm the nomination of such a member, we will still do it. You know, so it's important that members of the public will understand the essence of this and the reason for this, and also that the fact that it is not a strange peculiarity of the Nigerian parliament. It's a global parliamentary best practice and procedure. I thank you, sir.
From Abuja, Rotimi Adewi, ATN News.
Member of the House of Representatives representing Abakaliki Izi Federal Constituency of Ebonyi State, Honorable Emmanuel Uguru, has urged the federal government to give its attention to the education sector of the country by reducing the cost of education as palliative to cushion the effect of petrol subsidy removal on citizens. Honorable Uguru, who disclosed this in Abuja, said the call for increase in salary structure for civil servants in the country will impact about 30% of the country's population and may not the issue of subsidy removal. He called school fees as well as the tariff to cushion the hardship currently experienced by Nigerians.
In Nigeria, what I mean by workforce is those in the formal sector, those that are employed. It's insignificant. If you are basing it on 100, just say about 30%. What about the other people, the other 70? So if you add, as it should be added, I'm an advocate, something should be added to the salary of the workers. But what about the other people? What is added to them? So in addition to that, which I didn't say is wrong, addition, increasing the salary structure of all the staff. Of course, we will also benefit. We didn't. So what is good for the geese will also be good for the Gandhis. When it pays them, it will pay others. But more importantly, what about the 70% by my own aggregate that are now not within this? Drastically. There is no way you won't have your child in the primary. There is no way you won't have your child in the secondary. There is no way you won't have your child in the university. Where you don't, your immediate neighbor or next relation should have. Out of these people, you will be agreeing with me that about 80–90% would have been covered. Now go and add to the workforce and you leave these people. The problem is not in any way solved. I've talked about that. Reducing, if it is not possible to give free education, reduce it drastically by the federal government. 2, everybody talks about electricity. Without electricity, we are not going to anywhere. And by now, Nigeria is still far from getting it correct in terms of having power. There's nothing, you and I won't be here without this light. And so this discourse, owning the national whatever, keeps increasing the tariff. From where do we get the money? So with whatever government is using to do this palliative, a great chunk of it should go to electricity tariff to augment what the people are paying.
Recall that on May 29, 2023, President Bola Tinubu, while delivering his inaugural speech, announced the removal of fuel subsidy, resulting in hike in the pump price of petrol, as well as high cost of commodities in the country. And here is the business news on Global News tonight. President Bola Tinubu has flagged up the Gwagwalada Independent Power Plant project of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited. The power project is a 1.350 megawatts combined cycle power plant with auxiliaries and a balance of plants to be situated on 547 hectares of land already acquired at Gwagwalada in the Federal Capital Territory in Abuja. The project is expected to generate between $700 million and $800 million annually within the first 10 years of operations. It was necessitated by the need to deliver gas towards additional power generation capacity in Nigeria, and gas supply to the plant shall be through the Ajokuta-Kaduna-Kanu gas pipeline project, which is currently in the advanced stages of construction. Accordingly, the fuel requirements will be satisfied under a long-term gas sales, purchase and aggregation agreement with Shell Petroleum Development Company joint venture, and the project consists of 3 powertrain blocks of 450 megawatts each. The Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries says it is planning to stabilize its current oil output policy when a panel meets to discuss supplies and resilient demand drive on oil price rally. Ministers from the OPEC and allies led by Russia, known as OPEC Plus, will meet on August 4, while the panel called the Joint Ministerial Monitoring Committee OPEC Plus, if oil has rallied to a 3-month high this week, above $5 for Brent, tighter supply and rising demand outweigh concern that interest rate hikes and could hit economic growth. Plus sources said the committee would probably make any changes to existing policy, as one of them cited price as a reason to take no action. Surveillance operatives of the Tantia Security Services Nigeria Limited has seized an alleged stolen vessel laden with suspected crude oil in Koko area of Warri North, local government area of Delta State. This is the latest in a series of incidents involving the of crude oil in Nigeria, and in recent times, the in a security company owned by ex-white leader of Niger Delta agitator Chief Government Polo from the federal government to protect oil and gas pipelines. Capital market stakeholders have advocated governance to ensure sustainable financing for businesses. The stakeholders expect to work on ESG and sustain the future investment in Lagos by the Securities and Exchange Commission in collaboration with Financial Center for Sustainability. The stakeholders Global Committee had adopted environmental, social and good governance while urging that Nigeria should not be left behind. The Director General of SEC, Lamido Yuguda, called on all business stakeholders to fully support and build an economy that encourages sustainable business practices, adding that the revised Nigerian Capital Market Master Plan strongly underlines the need to create awareness and actively deploy educational and advocacy campaigns to promote ESG compliance products. He also said the initiative has been identified to be of high priority, demanding immediate implementation, and this is one of the Securities and Exchange Commission's principal reasons for organizing the workshop in collaboration with our co-host, the Financial Center for Sustainability. He further said Nigeria has the opportunity to drive positive changes through the focus and sustainable finance in its financial markets. The federal government says illegal mining activities are disrupting Nigeria's $700 billion Industry, Permanent Secretary, Minister of Mines and Steel Development, Dr. Mary Ogbe, disclosed this while inaugurating the new National Executive Council of the Miners Association of Nigeria in Abuja. Ogbe, represented by Deputy Director Mr. Okoya, also expressed concern over local industries which depend on imported minerals as their raw materials, despite the availability of such minerals in the country, adding that some minerals were exported as raw materials to Asian and European countries at ridiculous prices without value. It also said such practice has added to the unemployment rate in the country. Adding, according to the Solid Minerals Development Fund, the Nigeria's mining sector with 44 commercially viable minerals is worth $700 billion. You're still watching the Global News on Atlantic Television Network. Up next, international tidbits. Ousted President of Niger Republic, Mohamed Bazoum, is calling for an end to the coup that removed him from office while describing himself as a hostage. Bazoum said he is part of the 100 Nigerians illegally imprisoned by the junta while lamenting that the Sahel region may fall to Russia. He called on the U.S. government and the entire international community to help restore the country's constitutional order. Bazoum's government was ousted by his presidential guard on July 26. President Bola Tinubu has sent a delegation led by a Nigerian diplomat, Babagana Kingibe, to engage with leaders of Libya and Algeria on the crisis in Niger Republic, where the military junta overthrew democratically elected President Mohamed Bazoum. The delegation, headed by former Nigerian head of state, General Salam Bubakar, to speedily resolve the current political impasse in the country. Chairman of the ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government charged them to engage all stakeholders robustly to do whatever it takes to ensure a conclusive and amicable resolution of the situation in Niger for African peace and development, rather than a move to adopt the geopolitical positions of other nations. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed of Ethiopia has declared a state of emergency following an escalation of violence in the northern region of Amhara. He said it has become necessary to declare a state of emergency and difficult to control this unacceptable movement under current law. The statement did not make clear if the state of emergency applied nationwide or just to Amhara, which lies to the north of the capital of Addis Ababa. Manchester Crown Court, Northwest England, has sentenced the homeless man, Liam O'Prey, to at least 28 years in prison for stabbing to death Rico Burton during a late-night brawl in nearby Antrim. The 31-year-old Burton was the cousin of the British professional boxer Tyson Fury, while the 3-week trial heard how O'Prey, 22, attacked Burton with a 7-inch blade and almost severing the major carotid artery in his neck and causing massive blood loss. Judge Alan Conrad handed the father of one a life sentence with a minimum of 28 years before he is up for parole. Burton's death prompted Fury to post an Instagram message calling on the British government to clamp down harder on knife crime. Former U.S. President Donald Trump has pleaded not guilty in the Washington, D.C. court. The appeal is calculated to quash the alleged charges against Donald Trump of conspiring to overturn his 2020 election defeat. Trump, during a short arraignment, confirmed his not guilty plea, name and age, and that he was not under the influence of any substances, and described the case as a prosecution of a political opponent. It marks the former president's third appearance in 4 months as a criminal defendant, while about 1,000 defendants charged with participating in the stabbing of Congress on 6 January 2021 have appeared in the same court building. And that will bring you the entertainment news. Popular Nigerian singer Kingsley Okonkwo, aka KC, has asked why he switched from pop to cultural music. Culture to the world. KC said many doubted him initially when he switched to the culture, but he's excited it turned out to be successful. Cardi B has auctioned the microphone that she threw at a concert goer during a stage performance in Las Vegas. This is coming after the singer was seen performing in a video widely shared on the internet when a member of the crowd splashed liquid from a cup at her. In retaliation, Cardi B then threw her mic in the concert goer's direction. What bids for the microphone had hit $99.9 million, with the listing set to end on Tuesday, August 8. Actor Peter Dochie has cautioned Yul Dochie over his involvement in marital predicaments. He said he who fetches ant-infested firewood should be ready to host the lizards for a feast. Others, however, via the comment section sympathize with the veteran for the troubles his son puts him through. And here is now the sports news for tonight. FIFA says it has probed the allegation of misconduct in retaliation to the Zambia women's national team at the 2023 Women's World Cup. This is coming after the head coach of Zambia, Bruce Mwape, said they are making their debut at the tournament, beat Costa Rica to record their first ever victory at the finals. They were, however, eliminated from the tournament at the group stage after losing to Japan and Spain. The government of Alberta says he will support the bid to host the 2030 Commonwealth Games due to rising costs. Tourism and Sport Minister Joseph Skoll said the bill was estimated at a burden too high for the province to bear. He also said it is no longer developing its bid proposal, while Australia pulled out of hosting the 2026 Games in Victoria due to budget blowout. Alberta's withdrawal means there are currently no other firm bids to host the 2030 Games. A statement by the Commonwealth Games Federation thanked all of those who worked on the application and said it believed the Canadian province could be a fantastic host for the Commonwealth Games in the future. Gambo Mohammed is a newly appointed assistant coach with the Nigerian Professional Football League side of Kano Pillars. Mohammed will serve as a director assistant to the newly appointed head coach, Abdullahi Maikaba. The former Kano Pillars striker was part of Coach Evans Ogenyi's coaching staff that secured a promotion ticket in Asaba. Mohammed played a crucial role in Saimasu Gida's NPFL title win in 2013 and 2014, and his experience will be crucial for Kano Pillars during the 2023-2024 NPFL season as they bid to maintain their status as an elite club. The former forward also played for Katsina United during his active days. Shooting Star Sports Club of Ibadan says it has signed 3 new players ahead of the new season. This is coming after winger Michael Eneruna Moses penned a 2-year contract, while Moses last featured for Warri Wolves. He also previously played for Rivers United and Bendel Insurance, while young midfielder Ambrose Ogundahun also signed a 2-year contract. Shooting Stars also hooked Dadi Abdurrahman from El Kanami Warriors on a 2-year contract. The Loyola Warriors also announced that promising goalkeeper Babatunde Bolahan has been promoted to the main team from their B team. Chuba Akpom, who has denied plans to leave Skybet Championship club Middlesbrough. Akpom has 1 year left on his contract with Michael Carrick's side. The 27-year-old caught the eye last season after emerging top scorer in the championship with 26 goals and also won the Player of the Year award. Akpom said he is happy at the T side and will be willing to sign a new contract. The 2023-2024 Nigerian Professional Football League season says it will be played in a full format. The agreement was reached during a meeting between the NPFL board and club owners in Abuja. This is coming after an abridged format was adopted for the 2022-2023 season, while the new campaign is expected to kick off on Saturday, August 26. The draw ceremony and the annual general meeting will be held on August 17. And that's the size of the global news for tonight. But before we go, here is another look at the major stories. Police rescue kidnapped victims from cultists in Ahoda. Primate Ayodele advises Gandiji. NECO demands a 3 billion naira debt from states. President Tinubu flags off NNPCL's megawatts. Ousted President Bazoum says he is held hostage. Singer KC exposes beauty of cultural music. FIFA probes misconduct in 2023 WWC. I'm Vivian Douglas. Thank you for watching. You can follow us on the social media platforms. On Twitter, we're Atlantic TV. On Twitter, X, we're Atlantic TV Net. On Facebook and YouTube, we're Atlantic Television Network. On Instagram and TikTok, we're Atlantic TV Network 1. You can also download our app on ATN from App Store on ATN Live, or you can watch us live on our website, atlanticnetwork.tv. Do remember that peace and unity are the pathway to progress. Have a